Okay, on the YouTube, it's Brandon here, back with some more Bible wisdom. It's been a hell of a morning, I gotta say. I had a real tough time getting into the flow with the cartoon. Some days it's not easy, you know. I ain't naturally a cartoonist, I don't think. It's not one of my top 3 bullet points, but yeah, sometimes it's easy. Sometimes I end up crumbling up a bunch of papers, which is funny because it's not like it's rocket science or anything drawing these cartoons. They're pretty simple, but sometimes it just don't work. This morning was one of those mornings, so I was like, I'm going to take a break and I'm going to do the YouTube video for today, which is Genesis 10:1 through 12:8. And yeah, so if you're on Patreon, this one came out today on the 5th of May. Happy May 5th. And if you're on the other platforms, Facebook and Instagram, this will be coming out, like Friday or something? I hope you can't hear my washing machine over there. It's, taking care of stuff for me so that I don't have to go down to the river and, do that stuff. But anyway, yeah, Patreons, thank y'all once again, always close to my heart. It's very encouraging, especially on a morning like this when I just can't seem to draw to save my freaking life. I don't know what's up with it. That's beside the point. I'm glad y'all are here, and it's good to see you again. So yeah, today we have Shem, Japheth, and or Japheth, I guess, and Ham, and all these descendants. Now, this happens a lot, since this is a book mainly focused on descendants, and it's kind of a pain in the ass. I always dread it because I want to draw all the descendants. It doesn't really matter, but you got to draw a bunch of people and words and stuff, and it doesn't, I don't know, it's always kind of just like, man, more descendants, but the book's big on that. So today we get to the Tower of Babel and humanity making bricks and erecting the first city. It's said, this ain't in the New American Bible, but it's said that it was Nimrod who led this effort, and that it was his people who built Babel. It's also said, extra canonical as well, that Nimrod, who was a great man of conquest, as well as being a city builder, built several cities from the ground up. But it's said that he was assisted in his efforts because he had acquired some of the leather garments that Adam and Eve had made for them by God when he cast them out of the garden. And that, basically he was invulnerable because of this magical armor. I think that's pretty cool. Don't know why they left it out, but I'm not editing this. I'm just translating it into... I translate it into Californian because it's definitely kind of a mutt linguistically, but so am I, so that's how it comes out. God sees them build Babel. He realizes that these ambitious and industrious people are going to stop at nothing, and that with their combined efforts, they can achieve anything. So, we can't have that, right? I guess we had a monoculture globally at this time. It's not that long after Noah. Granted, there's lots of descendants, as you'll see in the comic. Just another bad call by God, I think. Just imagine if the world was unified by language and focused on purposes of achieving, for fully exercising the agency offered to us by our Creator in just doing everything. This was thousands of years ago. We could have been on the moon by like the 1600s, going out further into space. But God doesn't want man to think that man's like God. Well, I don't know how a Mars mission equates to, I'm going to create all the stars and shoot them out into the sky and create the earth, and I'm going to make life forms, sentient life forms out of clay and design all the animals. I think God's tripping in this instance. like he tends to. And honestly, I wouldn't even be doing this whole cartoon if God wasn't such a tripper, because God being a tripper is the dramatic device. That's why it's called the story of God. It's not called the Old Testament. This is all about God, who, kind of a little bit neurotic and unpredictable, violent, jealous. I mean, he's pretty proud of being jealous. I don't get that. And what else? Oh, insecure. He's insecure. He's very insecure, which makes for the most hilarious people. I am insecure, which is the source of any comedic talent I have ever had. Anyway, God confuses the language and he scatters the people around the globe because, fuck Babel. I mean, it's just a remarkable feat of engineering. I would like to think that I would be proud of my creations that they were able to do that, but not God. So yeah, casts them out. They get into Shem's descendants and whatever, and then Abraham, whom I very much love. I love Abraham. He's an interesting cat, a warrior, a lover, a pimp, a scam artist, a herdsman, and the father of the 12 tribes, from which all of this stuff happened. So yeah, and also God's number one favorite. Very, very, very interesting guy. I mean, growing up in the church, in the Presbyterian church, and then later Catholic church. I mean, Abraham's there, but he's not like a focus. You know what I'm saying? My impression growing up and attending services in those two institutions is that Noah's pretty big, Moses is just the man, and they kind of skip around a lot going forward. They skip some major figures. Well, for one thing, the Presbyterians don't even get into the Maccabees, which is mind blowing considering. Okay, I'll make a bet. Within the next 20 years, someone's going to do a mini series about Maccabees, and it's going to kill, and it's going to be great, and maybe it'll be HBO or something. But I can't imagine why you would take Maccabees out of the Bible. A guerrilla war against the Seleucid Empire, the remnants of Alexander's legendary military, and these guerrillas, the Maccabees. It's just good. You're gonna read it. Maccabees is in. This is the New American Bible. It's got Maccabees. But yeah, I just didn't feel like growing up Christian that Abraham was really focused on, and he's the father of the tribes and all that, and God's favorite. And Abraham's cool, man. I like him. I really do. So we're into Abraham now, which is, to me, where things start to get interesting. It becomes more of a soap opera. It's more of a narrative and relationships between people and how all that goes together. So it starts to be more of a story rather than this is what happened and this is what happened and this is what happened. There's relationships, there's consequences to actions, there's adventures, there's travels, there's warfare. Finally, we get to some bloodshed and violence to spice up the comic. Prior to this, I don't know. God did kill the entire planet, but this is like, cool stuff like swords and stuff like that. Abraham wasn't really defined by being a warrior, but when he had to be a warrior, he was a hell of a warrior, which I think you'll see that tomorrow. But yeah, he builds his altar to God, and we're off to the races, man. This is where the covenant gets established. The tribe of Abraham, his 12 sons, and it's all good times from here on out. Anyway, hey, thanks a lot for reading today. Thanks for suffering through another YouTube video. And just want to mention again, anything y'all can do to share and grow the audience is great. And as always, I welcome any comments or feedback. YouTube comments are a little bit rough because I don't really check the YouTube videos, because honestly, these are just companion pieces so that I can shoot the shit about it. But if you're on Patreon comments, I always read. And I'm on Facebook as well, and Instagram. Links are going to be below. So if you want to comment and engage me on some of this stuff, corrections are hugely appreciated. I want this thing to be accurate. There are some interpretive issues, like interpretation type issues of how I interpret stuff. Rule of thumb is narration is literal. Illustrations are a little bit more figurative in terms of me translating, and that's where I can get humor to make it fun to read, because it's got to be fun. Otherwise, I don't know. Maybe you guys would like it if it was more dry, but I like to have fun when I draw. So, but yeah, comments on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter even. My Twitter's kind of dead. I don't really like Twittering, but that's where you can get in touch with me. So thanks a lot. Share if you can, and have a fantastic Wednesday. Later.